How did you? Coach, Korea, you know, you said it was 51,
Mainly,
so
I
Korea
guess,
started at
because it was
50.
getting close to calling me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, in those days, you could be,
Yeah,
you could be drafted.
Well, now, see, that's something, I guess I just don't realize that, you know, the draft was, no, you know, in Korea.
That
You
didn't
don't hear
change.
about a lot of people getting drafted in Korea, I guess. It's just not something, it's not,
I was
I
trying
don't
to
say
think-
that it didn't happen a lot, but you just don't hear about it a lot.
When
So
was
you thought you might get drafted, Don?
oh yeah, in fact,
Yeah,
while I was in basic, Mother wrote and said that they'd called, you know,
yeah,
it's gonna take me. I already was in there,
yeah. Huh.
never regretted it. Because I loved it in there, of course, I was going with Irene for 3 or 4 years before I went in service, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you guys were dating at the time? Or-
yeah,
Okay, and then when did you guys end up getting married? Were you still in service when you got married?
oh yeah, I got married in 51,
And how long were you in the service?
52,
Oh, 52, so you
I went in
guys,
51,
so you were in service for a year and you and Irene got married?
Mhm.
And how long were you in, the?
4 years.
4 years? Yeah, that's interesting. What did she think about, well, you talked about it, right, before you went in, what did she think about that when you told her that you were gonna join the Air Force?
Well, she knew I'd either go to the Air Force or go in the Army or something, you know, whatever
Yeah.
they'd pick you for. And she went along with it, you know, we weren't married then.
Yeah, so if you went and enlisted before you got drafted, you could pick where you wanted to go, right?
Not really, no.
I don't know. I was trying to think was that during Reagan's administration when it became voluntary, where they didn't have the draft no more?
That was actually during Nixon's. That
Nixon was
Nixon.
somewhere.
Yeah, because it was about 75 or 76.
Well, that
It
had
was
to be
about a
during
year
Ford.
before I would have had to register, so it was right in that range. It was Nixon, right before Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, Whitey, what about you? What branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force Reserves.
Okay, okay. And so what year were you in? What you,
I don't remember when I went in, what year it was or anything.
is it shortly after you got out of school?
No, I was working at Cummings Engine Company in Columbus,
Uh-huh.
and they had a big layoff.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I got laid off, and the way I understood it was, if you wanted to take the layoff, I mean, you had to take the layoff, but they wouldn't go ahead and draft you in the regulars in, see, if you was in the reserves. So I had to spend some time in the reserves.
Yeah. But you had to go through basic training just like
Oh, yeah.
everybody else, right? What do you
Oh,
think about that?
Basic training,
Uh-huh.
I think everybody ought to have to go through it.
Where'd you have basic?
Huh?
Where'd you take basic at?
Lackland?
Yeah, everybody.
Lackland, so that was in Texas, is that where you were at? And
That's where I was at.
so everybody was, I think that's where my father went too. I know he was down there in Texas as well. So.
Pam was born in Lackland. My daughter comes here, you know.
Pam was, yeah.
You know the funny thing about here? Whitey and I went to school together
Oh,
in
really?
Salem High School.
Uh-huh.
And Don Morris's dad was my teacher in the country school. The finest teacher that ever lived was Howard Morris. He was a great teacher,
Yeah. So,
22 years,
so when you guys, all you
48
guys,
years.
when you're in basic, now had you been away from home before you went in the military?
I was a poor dumb hillbilly.
So
I
this
had
was
gotten more
your
than
first
50
time-
miles. I had
This
been
is your
there
first time to the big city, right?
away from home, period. You know? And
So,
yeah,
so you didn't know about, packing clean T-shirts and.
well, ever since I was a little kid, why I chose the Air Force, I loved airplanes.
Uh-huh.
I was an airplane bug, and so I wanted to go in the Air Force. But the thing though, was I was wasting my time as far as I was thinking about being a pilot. I could have never passed the physical to be a pilot because I remember I used to get silly in the head when we went to the old Pierce School down here. They had remember these things you used to push around real fast like a,
Yeah,
I would get a little,
getting lightheaded.
I would
dizzy.
never pass to be a pilot. But anyway, I only had 4 weeks of basic training and then 10 weeks of air police school.
So that 4 weeks probably didn't go very fast for you though, did it?
No, sometimes you sit and think, why did I?
So
But,
they,
but it's like, I'll tell you, I would recommend service to anybody. It matures you, teaches responsibility, and you grow up fast.
yeah,
Probably 4 years is my best time,
basic training or
No.
just military in
Military.
general? No, military.
cause I had a good job and got acquainted with a lot of good guys.
Yeah. Did you ever think about re-enlisting, staying in?
No, not really.
Yeah. How
I was
about
kinda
you?
glad to get out when I got out, so.
You got Whitey? Did you ever think about, how long were you in now, Whitey, you remember?
Well, let's see, I was in the reserves. Well, it seemed like it for seven years, but you just went once a month, you know.
Yeah, so you had to go, after you took your basic and all, and you were one weekend out of the month, you had to go.
I had to go to I had to go to Columbus, Indiana.
Okay, yeah. All right. And,
But there's that been in there like a 6-month period.
yeah,
I don't know how to explain it, but we got called up for active duty
yeah.
during the Cuban crisis.
Okay, so that'd be 62, 61, 62?
Something like that. But went to Columbus,
Uh-huh.
and of course I got activated to go up there for this 6-month deal.
Yeah.
But one day, one day, I was getting out early
Yeah.
because
Before they called you out.
yeah.
Oh, my.
They called us up, and we took our clothing and packed them and
Wow.
toolboxes and everything, you know. But I never stayed away from home. And that was something to go up there, you know, and
Oh, bet.
Yeah.
So did you, of course, at the time, there was a lot going on between the US and Russia, and of course, Kennedy and Khrushchev, and,
yeah.
and everybody's worried that somebody's gonna drop a nuke. I mean, did you ever think that you might get in the middle of another war?
Yeah.
I mean, do you really really think that was gonna
Because
happen?
Kennedy and Khrushchev, they's the ones that had it out.
Yeah,
And I can't remember who they said was holding out on the missile deal, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But that's what was all over.
Yeah, well, yeah, because, they said they didn't have the missiles, right? And we had the U-2 spy planes, so we had, Gary Powers and guys like that out
Gary
flying
Powers
over.
came a little before that.
And, well,
Gary Powers was in the U-2 plane. He
yeah, no, that's
he
what I
got
said,
shot
U-2.
down over.
Yeah, what did I say, SR-71? Is that what I said? I meant U-2. And, so yeah, they had the U-2s flying over Cuba, taking pictures
Yeah,
of these missile silos.
yeah.
And I really think that caught Khrushchev in a lie. He said there wasn't any missiles, and here's photographic
Oh, yeah.
proof, I think,
Yeah.
so. What the,
They tried to put his hand on the table too, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, I was up at Fairchild at that time,
Uh-huh.
during the Cuban missile.
so were you guys on alert then?
Oh, you bet, you bet.
So there's probably a lot of
We
planes.
went to DEFCON 2, bro, and that's
So-
only thing that's more is DEFCON 1.
I was
like
gonna
you
say,
are.
so you got how many levels, Don?
Well, I think
Is it 5?
I don't know if it goes to that many or not. But anyway, if you get down to DEFCON 2, you're
That's
you're
pretty
practically
serious.
at war.
Yeah.
And 1, you are at war.
Wow.
And but anyway, I was over in Morocco when Gary Powers got shot down. And it was really funny we had B-47. There's a medium range bombers over in
Sure.
Morocco.
Yeah.
And anyway, door flew open, And they said, all right, everybody up, get dressed, full gear. And anyway, so we got dressed, and I was a base police over there, see, I was more like a city policeman or a state policeman, you know, I wasn't a combat defense, you know. And so we went down there, and he had a C-47, and it was all started and everything, and he says, you're gonna go up to Rabat, that's the capital. And he says, Russians got MiGs up there, we're gonna fly you guys in. I'm not no jumper. But anyway, when the gun comes, so anyway, I got down that plane and I was for 2 hours we sat on that plane. And I thought, he said, well, the thing to remember is when you jump out, just before you hit the ground, let your knees collapse, you know. Well, you need more training than that, but anyway. but we had no choice. But anyway, about 2 hours and then they said, it got called off, you know. Because Khrushchev said, I'm gonna bury you. That's what he said over at Paris.
Yeah.
Because the U-2 got shot down over Russia, you know. It's high.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I was thank God that I didn't want to become a paratrooper.
Yeah. So now, Don, did you fly a lot in planes while you were in?
No, I didn't.
What's the ground stuff? What kind of, like, in a normal day, what would you do through the
I
course
was,
of
had assigned a certain engine on the C-124 aircraft.
the engine? Oh, so that was your responsibility?
Yeah,
Well,
until I fell from #1 engine.
uh-huh,
We'd pull an inspection that's going over to Korea, you know, it's doing the Korean War.
uh-huh.
And with a load. And they went up for test flight after we had pulled a major on it. And had come back with that #1 engine feather.
Uh-huh.
And so we had to find out the cause. So the guy on #1 engine left the crossover tube seal on the rocker arm cover. And it's leaking all over the top of this fuselage
Yeah.
engine. And nobody told me, we got that fixed. Of course, you had to, something like that, you automatic have to put a new carburetor air filter screen in.
Sure.
And did that, so I got up, nobody told me, but I got up with a bucket of solvent. And they was the real thick stuff, heavy buckets, you know.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I was up there mopping the top of that off with gunk.
Yeah.
And my feet got in that gunk and I went
Slipped off of it?
all the way down the wing and went down to #1. At the engine there was higher engine in it.
Huh?
And fell and busted this wrist up, see.
Really?
That's as far as I can go with that. And it's swelled up. Well, the
Oh,
colonel
yeah.
that did it said it, he said, and he came from the big college over here. I'm trying to think of,
What city? Whereabouts?
I can't think of,
Down south?
where everybody goes for the big,
West Point? Or no, Air Force, right?
in the Air Force, but it was,
The Air Force Academy you're talking
he
about?
used to be in that place, but I can't.
All right.
Anyway, he said that was the worst break he'd ever seen
Really?
in a wrist. But so I get a 10% disability on it. And they never called me up. The first time when I got discharged, they said, be sure and go to your state and be examined.
Yeah.
And I did, and they've never called me up since. Of course, I have to bring my elbow in to do something like that, you know. And it's pained a lot, but I've got by with it.
Wow. So is it when you fell, did you kind of catch yourself? Is that, and hit right on your wrist?
Yeah, I didn't know when I hit. I don't know, but they said I hit lid on my head. See, that's what that's concerned.
So did you fall on the plane or you actually fell on the ground?
No, I fell on the ground.
So you came off the wing and on the ground, so that's 15, 20 feet maybe? Wow.
Yeah, from #1
That
engine.
C-124 was a big transport.
Yeah.
Largest one then. C-130 took its place.
Sure, the Hercules, uh-huh.
So, anyway, got to Lackland Hospital, so I was at Kelly Field, which is close to, but they first took me, and I was out all this time,
Yeah.
from the time I fell. And they took me to Kelly Field Hospital. They couldn't take care of me there. I was out.
Huh.
I didn't know about it. They took me on over to Lackland, and I came to when they pushed me down the hall in the Lackland Hospital and telling everybody to put out their cigarettes because I was soaked for solvent.
Oh, hey, they want you to catch
Kerosene.
on fire, yeah.
So then I was in there about 2 weeks, something like that.
Wow.
Got out and I was on, had to go over Lackland every afternoon and get whirlpool baths with it. And they put a
That's something?
pin through here and had this traction on it, pulling on this bone, you know,
Yeah.
to lengthen.
And then many years later, delivering the mail, and I'm sure that
And I
gave
loved
you,
that job.
I'm sure that gave you some grief too, you know, particularly with cold weather and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Wow.
I held letters all the time in this hand, you know.
Yeah, I'll
Had
bet.
it all like this, hold it.
Isn't that something?
Had a bag on my shoulder all the time.
Yeah. What did you have anything interesting happen to you while you were,
Well, not really.
yeah?
I mean, you just pretty well done what they told you to do.
What kind of stuff would they do? So you were like on a Saturday, Sunday, or a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday would be
Uh-huh.
the days you'd go to Columbus.
Yeah. Yeah, and what kind of stuff would they have you do when you got there?
Well, you was in charge of a certain aircraft. Had the serial numbers, you know, and everything, and that was assigned to that aircraft. And you had to, if your aircraft was up for flight, you had to taxi it out on not the takeoff, but the runway, and pull your flight instructions. That's about the only training I got.
So would you tow them out there, or did you actually
Now
taxi?
you had to taxi.
So did you do that?
Yeah.
So you'd start it up and drive it, couldn't, and again get up the air. So you actually were out on the tarmac, driving around.
Yeah. They give you
That's a big
instructions.
responsibility.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money,
You
right?
had to radio the tower from your aircraft, you know, and, well, you told them where you was at, what your spot was, and where you was at, and where you wanted to go.
Huh.
And what your reason for going was to pull my pre-flight inspections. And so they give you a younger guy than you that hadn't been in very long, you know.
So you're kind of training him.
Yeah, you had to train him to do what you were doing. And I know this one boy from Indianapolis, he'd been around before, he knew a little bit about the airplane, but
Yeah.
he didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
But they assigned me to him, and when you went out on the airplane, and he would go outside, and basically what he done was pull the chocks and let you taxi.
Yeah.
But I mean, he
Now this was, what kind of plane again, Whitey?
this is a 119, it's an old,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that has twin booms on it.
Yeah.
twin
Is that the
book.
boxcar?
Yeah, I think they call it, yeah.
Yeah.
Flying boxcar, yeah.
Yeah.
You see why when the airport, I'm an airplane
Oh,
bug.
yeah. Oh, me too. Oh, so the young kids pulling the chocks
Well,
and staying out of the
I told
way,
him to go out and
try not to get run over.
pull the chocks. And when he went out there, I can't remember where you started. I think you started the engine on the right. You had to start it on the, and one of the things to watch for was fire. If the engine got on fire, what to do?
Yeah.
And you just keep cranking that engine.
Did that happen very often,
Oh,
that they
yeah.
catch on fire?
Or that's high octane gas, you know.
Sure.
And Yeah.
Huh.
He was standing out there pretty close to the propeller, you know, and I motioned for him to get back. So he got back kind of like, where I could see him from the cockpit, you know.
Yeah.
And then whenever he started cranking it over, I gave him a motion to crank it, you know, why he cranked it over and it was turning over, but it wasn't firing. And you had your mixture there, and you had to pull the mixture on to get it to fire. Well, I pulled the mixture on, but I waited too late.
So it's flooded?
Yeah, it was flooded. And raw gas started running out of the bottom of that engine.
Oh, no.
Well, this kid on the ground, he went nuts. He was all going cremate. But he kept wanting to know to pull the chocks, and I kept shaking my head, no, don't pull the chocks.
Yeah.
They were chalked. And finally it fired. Of course, it was kind of a hot situation, that fire coming out of there.
Oh, yeah.
They just a stream running out of that bottom of that engine. And I kept cranking her, and she finally hit.
And what about that black smoke just rolled out of that
Oh,
thing?
yeah. he was hugging that fire extinguisher, that boy was.
Oh, that's funny. Now, when you were driving the planes around and stuff, there wasn't any armament on them, or there wasn't ordnance in the planes, was there?
No, the only car.
They only ordnance before they went to a mission, is that right? You'd arm them up?
Well, that was strictly a transport, and they carried
Okay.
troops and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
okay. Oh, I know what it was. They had the two booms on it and a single stabilizer
Yeah,
in the back,
yeah.
okay.
Like the old
See,
P-38.
Yeah, okay,
Cargo plane.
yeah. C-19, is that what it is?
C-119.
119, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Don, did you ever do any driving? Did they ever give you the keys like they did Whitey? They trust him more than they did you?
Let me tell you, the one I sweated more than anything else. The last year I was in there, I pulled security, worked on the Atlas Intercontinental Ballistic Missile System.
Yeah.
And so every now and then we had 8 sites up there, different sites. And I was a high enough rank, Airman First Class, that so whenever these Atlas missiles set down in,
They're silent, right?
no, there was a silo. The old Atlas set down into like a big trench. It was all concrete and had big, huge.
So they were upright or laid down?
No, they laid down like that.
And then the launcher
And then the
would pick
thing
up?
would pick it up.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why they got rid of the Atlas, because, well, anyway, when the crew's gonna go practice, going through the procedures, firing,
Yeah.
the nuclear warhead had to come off. And my job was to escort that nuclear warhead back to the base. And you always pray, oh my Lord. Of course, it's covered up. You couldn't tell it was a nuclear weapon. But, I was the lead thing, and you had red lights and all that stuff. And sometimes the Washington State Police would help, in some of the escorts. But you always said, please, Lord, don't let some drunk run a red light somewhere. And
But realistically, that wasn't ever gonna set that off.
no,
right?
but I
So, how big were they, Don? Was it 200-300 pounds, or,
the weight, I don't know.
Feet?
The size of a 10 megaton nuclear weapon is this big around, and it's probably about 8 to 10 feet long.
Wow.
And it was B-52s. I'm not telling anything secret.
No,
This is old.
sure, that's common knowledge
was
now.
They had at least 2 or more on each one of those B-52s.
Because now the B-52s had the carousel, right, for the bomb rack, right? It was round, and they would launch them out, right? Do you not have those? Okay. Maybe that's a later model, but they would load them in a like a drum in a carousel, and it would index around as it dropped them, as opposed to like the older style, like a B-17 or B-29, they would just drop out of racks. Yeah.
Well, if you ever seen things in Vietnam, when B-52s flew over, they would start probably, I would say, 500 up to 2,000 pound bombs. And when those B-52s, it was like it was raining hail when they bombs come out of them things. Boy, they carried a lot of bombs. But one thing I want to say was 2 incidents that I'll never forget was our NCOIC of base police when I was over in Morocco. We went there, he said something I never forgot, and I always admired him. He says, you are representing the base commander, maybe an air policeman. And he says, what you say, what you do reflects on him. And he says, here's the procedures. If you pull somebody over for speeding or anything whatsoever, if you walk up to that car, if it's an officer, you will salute him. And you'll say, sir, I'm Airman Bush, I'm here to inform you of your violation. If it's an NCO or airman, you say airman or sergeant, Airman Bush here to inform you of your violation. If it's a woman, you say ma'am. He said, but if I ever hear him, he said, where in the hell's the fire? He said, you will not be on patrol no more. And he said, you showed these people respect. And then the other thing was, because of that, they had this guy was in field maintenance. And him and his wife, I don't know what they're doing, but boy, he was speeding. I pulled him over and all that stuff like that, and so I wrote him out a ticket. And I got down to base police office, then I have to write a report up. Phone rang,
Yeah.
and there's that guy. And he says, what do I have to do now, you know? I thought maybe he was going to complain to my sergeant that I wrote him up. I only wrote, that doesn't make me a good or a bad policeman. I only wrote 2 or 3 tickets the whole year. I tried to be generous to people here. But he said to me, he says, my wife and I, we're going back stateside now in 2 or 3 days. He says, this will redline me. And I said, mister, take that ticket, rip it up, and, well, go home. It wasn't worth it, you know. But I've always respected, and that's where I got my training from him, being courteous and polite.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Don, because that's something you can always tell. I think a lot of people can tell when you talk to somebody that's been in the military. They just have that aura of discipline about them. You know what I mean? I mean, they're respectful and I don't, Don, is that something that just comes from, do you learn that in basic training, or is that just the way the way guys were brought up?
I think it's the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
But I had to be cleared for final top secret clearance. And when I had to turn in a bunch of names around, I knew, they come and check on me. And if you didn't have hadn't been living right before you went in, you wouldn't.
So these were your references. You had to have references.
Oh, yeah.
So they really checked your background pretty heavily.
And see, we'd be working and I'd say, where's a certain guy, that's just moved in on a squadron. He couldn't get cleared. And when he didn't get cleared, they'd send him to Korea. That's during the Korean War.
So that was a big deal.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a big deal. Bill Lamp was my neighbor. They came out and checked on state police, came out and checked on me, and he said, that guy has never done anything wrong in all his life. He said, what's he done? They said, no, he's not done anything. It's just we've got to be checking him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had to, because that's about the time we had I guess it was before McCarthy, but it was always the threat of the communists infiltrating, and you didn't know who was or who wasn't, and that was a scary time, right? I mean, that's so Whitey, what when you were going through basic and everything, I mean, was it you fit in okay? You weren't a rebel rouser to start with, and they had to straighten you out. And did you have some in your group? Was there rowdy guys in your group?
Well, when we were in basic, we went what you call a night march. Did you go through that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys are sitting around on picnic tables that we had to march by. And somehow or another they found out that we were, what they call us, 90-day wonders or something like that. And then they started hollering 90-day wonders, and then, what was it they said? When we went through the chow line rainbow, you hear him call it, chant out rainbows, here comes the rainbows. Of course, actually we didn't have our uniforms, and we had to wear civilian clothes through the chow line. And that's what they was referring to.
Your rainbows, because you were in the city. Really?
Yeah.
So was the food good? You said something about chow. Was
Yeah.
it? Was it good? Don,
Yeah.
you like it?
Yeah.
Don?
I know.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of times on Sunday, you know, of course, I lived off the base after a while, but
Yeah.
This
they
is
didn't
not,
fry the chicken enough, you know, and you eat into it, maybe it'd be some blood, that'd be the end of it. I wouldn't eat any more chicken, you know. Why run a good piece of chicken if I'm not cooking it?
Oh.
But we had to, when it's basic, we had to pull KP ourselves, you know, so.
Yeah. So you cooked your own meals and stuff,
No,
or
we
you just
didn't cook it, but we did
You did the.
Yeah, prepare it.
clean the floors and all
Sure.
that stuff.
I had the potatoes. Did you do
Yeah,
that?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Used to have to get a bag full of potatoes and we have to eye them, you know, peel them out.
Huh? Got pretty good at it, huh?
I had sea rations once, and we went on a field trip. And they were sea rations, this was 1959, they were from the Korean War. But let me tell you, they had a pound cake in there, it was in a metal can, you had to take a thing.
Uh-huh.
That pound cake tasted as fresh as you could be, even though it was from the Korean War. I couldn't get over it.
Almost 10 years old, it still tasted good.
Yeah, of course it's sealed off in those things. But anyway, no, it's there was something I was gonna say now, I forgot what the heck it was, it must have been a lie. But, no, like I said, I really thank God that I did. I was very fortunate, I had parents that I was taught right from home. And then I run into his dad, and he was my inspiration. I always thought maybe I might become a teacher, but we didn't have no money to go to college.
Yeah.
But his dad was a sensational teacher, and he did a lot of things for us kids, and some of that come out of his own pocket. He did little special treats and stuff for us, but that's kind of a guy he was, you know. And but anyway, the service, like I said, I'm glad I went in, and I served under 3 presidents. It was Eisenhower when I went in,
Mhm.
and then John F. Kennedy, then he got assassinated, and then LBJ.
Mhm.
And I don't get into politics.
What?
But
So I don't wanna, I don't wanna forget that there's, I hear you got a good story about meeting Sonia. You were in the military when you and Sonia met one another, is that right?
yeah,
What's the story behind
well, I
that?
don't know who's it.
No, I just, I don't wanna write the
Oh,
pastor.
I know
out,
a
so-
story I wanted to tell. Was when I was over there, when I was in Morocco, I had opportunity to go to Paris and on TD, you know, the Air Force would they go in there, they'd fly you, it wouldn't cost you anything, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I always stayed on base, didn't spend no money. First thing I wanted was the car when I got home. And so anyway, and then one day I was down basic exchange, and here was this ring, it's a white gold, and it had a blue sapphire teardrop shape,
Mhm.
and it went this way, and then it had a diamond, it was teardrop shaped, and went the opposite direction. And it was $100 and something, and that's a lot of money for a GI back in.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that. And anyway, and so one day, like I said, we had a guard mount, so your shoes had to have spit sign. You had to see your face and your boots being there, please.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I went in to take a shower, and I was going to say I didn't want to. So I took the ring off, put it on in the place where you took showers and all that stuff. And told if you take a ring off and you don't feel it until after a while, you don't even notice it's gone.
Sure.
So anyway, I saw one shower, then went into my room, and then I looked at it, oh, my ring. And so I run right there, of course it was gone. And so anyway, I said, oh my Lord, that was my low day. It was, anyway, a few days later, I happened to go into the first sergeant's office there at the barracks, and here's a notice, ring found, please claim,
Oh, wow.
if you can claim. So I went there, and the first sergeant said, well, describe it. I said, well, it's a white gold ring, it has a blue diamond teardrop shape and a blue sapphire teardrop shape. And then he said, well, this must be your ring. And I said, how did you come by that? And here's what floored me. Oh, Jesus, you love you.
Huh.
He said, there was a Moroccan housekeeper, turned it in. You know, if he'd have took that, that would have been a half a year's salary for him.
Really?
And I was, but let me tell you, I'm getting into preaching. There's good people in all things,
Sure.
and then there's terrible ones, terrible. But I never forgot that. Oh, I'll get back to Simon.
Yeah.
Was
So did you get, had you guys been dating
No, it's a
before
blind date.
and you were in the military at the time?
Yeah.
So you got a blind date?
Yeah, when you get a car, I think Don and White will,
Yeah.
if you own a car, oh, everybody's your buddy.
Everybody's your
Everybody's your buddy,
right?
because they want your car.
Of course, Don, you
I
had a
had
car
my
because
car
you
out.
were off base. You were living off base, so you had a car.
Oh, yeah, I had my car out there.
So, so anyway, this guy says, he says, hey, I got a girlfriend down at the YWCA. Well, at that time, Sonia was going, she was from Pullman, Washington, it was 80 miles away, but she was going to stay at the YWCA and going to take the beauty school. She was going to be a beautician,
Sure.
and she was staying at the YWCA. So he says, so we go down, he says, we'll get you a date, Don. So okay, we're down there. He says, well, why don't you go in there and ask for, I can't remember now what the girl, we'll just say Roxy, that was her name. And that was his girlfriend. And I thought, well, why am I going in there and asking? Anyway, and this lady was behind the desk. He says, can I help you? I says, I'd like to see you. And I say, Roxy. He says, Roxy who? I said, well, I don't know her last name. He says, she said, young man, if you don't know her last name, I'm not going to. But anyway, so then I went back outside. He said, well, go back in there. And I thought, it does be a bunch of, in another room, there'll be a bunch of girls dancing. Oh, Georgia. That was her name, Georgia. And so I went in and asked her, they brought her down. Couple of dates. He said, well, we'll get you a date later. So anyway, he did. Got a blind date.
Yeah.
And it was Sonia. And like I said, when Sonia came down those stairs,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking at her dress, and she had big pockets here on her dress. I didn't like that. She had the puffy sleeves on the side. Didn't like that. But everything else was hard. It was gorgeous. And thing of it is, being a nice guy, hey Don, can you give me a ride down the thing and then drop me off here? And so I was an hour late on our first date. And Sonia was fuming, in fact. She's even gonna go with me or not. But she did. But anyway, no,
So did you hit it all? That first date go good? Everything?
yeah, it went okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went okay. And,
Did
but
you did you have any idea that somebody?
I made a testimony here once before this church
Yeah.
that when I was the most boring kid there ever could be, and no
Mhm.
wonder girls date me once and say, nah, don't think so. And I did. I remember that one time I went home crying. I said, God, isn't there some girl in the world for me?
Yeah.
And anyway, yes, Don, but it'll be 2 years later.
You never know, huh?
Yeah, you never know. So anyway,
That's good.
but anyway, no, I couldn't ask for it. Find her. God answered my prayers.
Yeah. So you were in Morocco, and did you go anyplace else? Were you ever any other station anyplace else?
Sir Charles Air Force Base, Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't, but no, still, when we left, we had to go to Casablanca, Nur-Sur Air Force Base. The base I was on was inland, way inland in Mark. And Casablanca, we went up there one time. Oh, Casablanca, gorgeous place. You know. And anyway, so we got up to Nur-Sur Air Force Base there, and they was having trouble with the plane. And so they worked on the engine and got it fixed. So then we flew off. The Azores are right out in the Atlantic, not too far. And they stopped there. They had to work on the plane again. No. They said we had to send it back to Nur-Sur because they had to change engines again. And so anyway, we flew back to the Azores. I think we took off. And then from the Azores to Bermuda is a long, long way.
Really?
And no, it wasn't Bermuda. That's when I went. We went from the Azores all the way to Charleston Air Force Base in South Carolina. I can't remember now. And anyway, the guy says, okay, we'll reach the point of no return, and I don't know how to swim. I was thinking, all this Atlantic Ocean below us. And anything, being a dumb, stupid person like I was, backward hillbilly. We got into because back in 1961, you had to go through customs. And so we was going through customs, and I had one 20-millimeter bullet that was shot in the back of a B-47, but it had been,
Yeah.
the cap had been blown, you could pull it apart. It wouldn't explode, but you wouldn't have allowed to have one of them. But I took it, I mean. So anyway, I think, Don, you know what those B4 bags are? It has the side pockets opened up like a suitcase. So he was going through, he said, do you have anything to declare? I said, well, I bought some wine thing for my sister, some crystal decanter. And he said, how much? He said, oh, less than 300. I said, yeah, it was a, okay. And then he opened it. I said, oh. And then the next thing came out, and he says, do you have any pornography in this? And I said, and I did not know that pornography was nude pictures.
Oh, really?
And I said, what's pornography? He said, never mind, go on ahead. That saved my life.
So, did you travel, Don? Did you go overseas any place? Or did you travel very much in the States? Or were you pretty much in Texas a lot? Or?
Yeah. Of course, I had my wife with me. And
Sure. And she got pregnant a year after you went in, right? 52,
yeah.
you said?
Pam was born in, she's born in,
Better be careful telling her.
Pam was born, we'll just leave it at that.
oh no, she was
So
after
52.
a lot longer than after 9 months, but,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
So what
Anyway,
did you, and I'll ask you all this, but obviously, you met, you met some people while you were there.
oh boy, I tell
Probably
you, yes.
lifelong relationships, I'm assuming, guys that you stayed in touch with,
Yeah, see,
probably.
I was with a guy that had been a captain, had been a commanding officer,
Oh, wow.
and he got out to, and he was from Texas, and he got out to drill some irrigation wells thinking he'd make a bunch of money. And he went broke it. And he come back as a staff sergeant,
Uh-huh.
which he didn't get his commission back. He was still trying to get it when I got out.
Huh.
Then this is after I had got hurt, and I came home on leave for about 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Went back and went and got my toolbox, was going back out with
So
the.
you were only off for 2 weeks with that?
No, I mean when I came home for 2 weeks,
Oh, okay,
just to visit,
okay.
And of course Irene was with me. And we went back, and I got on in the hangar and got my toolbox with the crew that I was with,
Yeah.
and was walking out to our plane. And the head man there, he was a master sergeant. He hollered at me and he said, Don, come here, I want to talk to you. He said, supplies not cooperating with us getting parts like we should. And I want you and Sergeant Blackstock to start, or at the time, what was he called? Anyway, they had to fill out time cards to
Uh-huh.
all the mechanics and all, what they spent their time at. And we had to keep parts on hand. The crew chiefs would come in and order parts, and we had like a room full of all kinds of places where you tools and nuts and bolts all sizes and all that kind of stuff. And this captain had been in there, and he was trying to get his commission back. And he hadn't got it back yet when I got out.
Huh.
But he was a good guy, we worked good together.
Yeah.
And
Now, do you stay in touch today? Do you still have anybody
No,
that you contact with? No?
well, yeah, there's a master sergeant that his wife was there with him, and
Yeah.
boy, he was a good guy. And we'd have Irene and we'd get out, go out on picnics on Sundays
Yeah.
together, and they'd come over our house, and my mother sent us her recipe for homemade ice cream,
Yeah.
which was also good.
Yeah.
So that's what we used, they had that homemade ice cream freezer. And that him and his wife was with us, and come, he'd go out the base and he'd say, boy, old Morris's wife can make the best homemade ice cream. Tell him the master sergeant,
Yeah.
And he came to visit, him and his wife came to visit us after we got home, after got discharged,
Uh-huh.
out there on the farm where I was out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And so he said, I took him to it was during the fair, Salem
Uh-huh.
County Fair. And I took him to that afternoon to watch tractor pulls and stuff.
Yeah,
He said, coming back, he said, when I get out, I wanna come back here. Would you sell me a piece of ground there to build a house?
uh-huh.
I said, I won't sell it to you, I'll give it to you. If you'll
Wow.
come back here, I'll give it to you.
He liked the area that much, huh?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
And, oh, boy.
Well, I mean, and
his
he
wife
also,
was a
he
teacher.
obviously thought a lot of you, you know, if he
Oh,
was
yeah.
gonna move in close to you. so-
All them master sergeants is all good.
Yeah. That's
A
a,
lot of them, because they come in and order parts and stuff, you know.
yeah, it's a good story.
And I was put in charge after this guy took, thinking he would come near getting his commission back if he'd go back on the plane as a crew chief.
Hmm.
But he didn't know anything about them planes.
Hmm.
But he could be a boss, I guess. And
Yeah.
I just wondered,
You're leaving?
You have to go.